Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of Respect Coin. As always, I am your host, Michael Bolling, and of course, we are presented by 𝗰𝐶𝗰𝗶 Chicago Southland. Are you ready for your winning moment? Find it at 𝗰𝐶𝗰𝗶 Chicago Southland, where the action never stops. Play the hottest table games, enjoy the newest slots, and celebrate big jackpots at 𝗰𝐶𝗰𝗶. There's a win waiting for you around every corner. And around the next corner, we will crown an NBA champion. Yes, it is NBA Finals week. We have the Oklahoma City Thunder favored over the Indiana Pacers. It's a finals for the heartland of the country. Not two of the biggest markets, but two of the better young teams in the NBA. And if you wanted Celtics Lakers, I am sorry, because that is definitely not happening. This is what I think real fans of the sport wanted. Doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest names, but I remember people talking that they didn't want to watch the Warriors play in the finals every year, or the Cavs played in the finals every year. I think that's kind of over. The parity is back in the NBA, and I think that's good for the league. So we will get to an NBA Finals preview, and I got a special guest for today's episode. Really excited to bring on my homie, Sean Little, who works for MSG, one of the best bettors I know, one of the smartest, most disciplined bettors that I know, and someone I genuinely love talking ball with. So without further ado, here's my chat and our NBA Finals preview, myself and MSG's Sean Little. Take a listen. What's up, everyone? We got an NBA Finals preview with none other than my main man, Sean Little of MSG. Host, betting analyst, one of the smartest bettors I know, checks in the mail, all that good stuff. How you doing, brother?
Nah, I appreciate you having me through, Bolling, man. I count the chicken, protect the chicken, respect the coin. That's what you got to do at all times when it comes to this sports betting game. And we'll get into it, but so much of this stuff is mental. I think it's always hilarious. And I'm going to jump right in, Bolling. I always think it's hilarious when people ask other people, should they cash out? That's like the most personal question. That's 100% solely your decision to make.
Right.
If you're going to fall off the deep end mentally, then you should probably cash it out. That's my answer. We'll get into a bunch of things, but I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And I don't think people talk about the mental side of it as much as we should, because even when I was back at BR, we would ask people all the time, are you going to cash out and let it ride? And at some point, it got a little toxic to me, because I'm like, bro, that's somebody else's money, man. I don't even know if they want to talk about it.
No, and it's so, now that you brought it up, anybody out there that listens to Respect the Coin, if you have a big ticket, the last people you should be hollering at is Bleacher Report, Action Network, and all those other people, because that's just going to put you under more pressure and make you even make tougher decisions. So yeah, man, just handle it by yourself with your close-knit crew.
You get influenced by people that have no interest in you at all. So I agree. I would not be talking to people about it, but let's talk about you and introduce you to this audience a little bit. How did you get into betting? What's your favorite sports to bet, etc.? I know you're doing really cool stuff, and I know you because you're the homie, but tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, it's been a journey, for real. If we can go all the way back to college, graduated college, comms major, broadcast journalism, classes, the whole thing, right? And I wanted to be Stuart Scott. Come to find out, it's extremely competitive and hard to become Stuart Scott. So I go into other forms of work. I end up working at CBS Sports for on the digital side, selling ad space. I then eventually start making good enough money where I have enough money saved up where I'm like, yo, I got to go back and chase the dream of being on television and doing that stuff. I started creating content for a couple of digital outlets, which morphed into a tryout and audition at MSG. I get that gig at MSG, and we're rolling here today. I think that's the short, quick, and sweet answer. But figure out a way to continue to be either aligned or doing somewhat of something that you want to do big picture long term, and then just figure out a way to try to bang the drum as much as you can until you catch a little bit of a break, and then try to ride it the wave as long as you can. So that's the overall story. The betting element is interesting because I've just going all the way back to like 17 or 18. I've always been a sports bettor. My dad was big into to betting, so I
Yep.
kind of learned it from that. And it's funny because maybe too close to home, because I didn't have the urgency once the legalization came to where I realized how big it was going to be. I think I left a lot of money on the table with maybe even content, maybe even creating an app like Action Network, just creating something in the space that a lot of other bettors would get involved with. Because to me, since I was 18, 19, when I first started betting, almost 20 years ago now, 19 years ago,
It's crazy.
yeah, it is crazy, it's always been a part of the game. Like the whole notion of talking two games, a matchup without talking the point spread is preposterous to me. And it had always been like that. Like, who's the favorite here? Who's the underdog? How big of a favorite would they be? So it's always been a part of the conversation since I was young. And to see it go mainstream has been interesting. Push back here, push back there. But overall, it's not going anywhere. I think it's a big part of the game. It's a great way to analyze the game and break it down. And as long as you keep the mental and respect the coin, it's the best way to go about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think one of the things that you said there is super interesting to me is like how the notion that people weren't talking about the spreads. Like I remember watching SportsCenter and Stuart Scott, like, look at this major upset. And I would be talking to my pops, like, and he would be like, that wasn't no upset. Vegas was all over that.
Right,
You know, like
upset.
those conversations changed quick when everything got legalized. And I agree with you. It ain't going anywhere. It's dope to see other people from like where we're from kind of put themselves out there to the level you did, and now you get to do this for work. You know, I talk to young people all the time that like either play baseball or cousins of people. Like, you got to just try and find something you like to do and hope that there's a door that opens, and then once it opens, you kick through it and stay as long as you can. That's what we're all doing, right?
No doubt. And I think too, like if you don't have any kids and you don't have any, I think once you have kids and a serious partner, then like the responsibilities really start.
Yeah.
If you don't have any kids or have a partner that you got to worry about and you really got to only feed yourself, I think that whole grind of like ignoring the outside noise and just putting one foot in front of the other and eating crackers and tuna and doing whatever you have to do is real, especially while you're young, because once you get older, it starts getting really real really quick, and it's a lot harder to, you know, make things happen on the fly and take goofy risks like a lot of younger people can do and have the flexibility to do.
For sure. I remember vividly being like, I don't think I'm going to go work in Wichita, and with my journalism degree, like I just can't live there. So you just got to like figure out what your lane is. But yeah, man. So let's
really
talk
quick.
about
One last thing, Bolling, that I want to say that I think, well, I feel it a lot, just like doing television and being in New York and being in meetings and stuff. And I think it's hilarious that sports bettors, especially in the media space, are still to this day, not by everyone, but by some, aren't respected, looked down upon, frowned on. They're not taken seriously. When the fact of the matter is, I'm myself, you, and other people that are in the sports betting space are essentially coming up with takes and then backing the takes by real US American dollars.
Yep.
Instead of just having a take and then not backing it up by US American dollars. At least where I'm from, if anything, I would respect the guy more that is coming up with a real take and then backing it by US American dollars. And it seems sometimes out in the field, in boardrooms, the talent that's talking betting doesn't get the same respect as a non-betting talent, and it's almost like it should be flipped. So it's a really interesting space, a really interesting dynamic, and I think there's still a lot of room to grow overall. And it's a lot of suits can't seem to understand that you could just strip off the betting talk as well, and it's
Yep.
still the same conversation that we were having before. But I digress. Let's give out some winners, man.
Yeah. Since you unpacked it though, I agree, bro. Like there's some days where I feel like I watch these hot take shows and I'm like, there's no way that person believes that, you know? And it's
No
like,
doubt.
yeah, you're right. You're like, you put your money where your mouth is. Like I've been roasted when I worked at BR when I had a crazy wild parlay or bet that I took and it flopped. And like people were in the comments like, you're crazy. You knew you were going to burn that money up. But it's like you learn from those and then you start to make more informed decisions. You know, like it's
No
almost
doubt.
like you get to learn from your own mistakes and then you look in your pocket and you're like, damn, I'm running out of coins. So I gotta do
Yeah.
something different.
Yeah. But it's just, a lot of people get on. There's and we're part of the ecosystem of guys that have opinions on sports, that love sports, that watch sports and get on and talk about it. But 9 times out of 10, I'm saying what I believe, and then I'm actually backing it up with coin, and that gets all the respect, and I respect those guys more. And it seems like it's opposite a lot of the time in the
For
field.
sure. For sure. Well, let's talk about some of the biggest stories in betting right now. We can get through these quickly. This one's personal to me because my homie at BR is holding a 85-1 finals future on the Pacers.
Yeah,
$1,000 to win
we,
86K.
hey man, we were speaking about that cash out button. Go ahead and bang that one. Tell him to go ahead and bang that one because
It's gonna get spooky, man. I kind of agree. I talked to him a couple days ago, and he said the cash out was at 13K, and I'm like, bruh, take the money and run, bro. Take the money. If you really think the Pacers are gonna win, take 1,000 of it, put it on the series, and you still make 5 racks coming out of it. Because again, we talked about it off the top unintentionally, right? Like as soon as you start posting about this, people are gonna fry you. Like you don't want that. You don't want the
you,
drama around
you
it,
don't
bro.
want
Just
the
take the
extra attention.
13K and go. Take your
Just sit
girl on a
down
nice
and,
vacation.
bro, have your coffee and decide what you want to do. And it's so against the grain of how things work in our atmosphere with creating content and pushing out. I like to win and lose in silence,
Yeah,
if I'm being honest. I think in times it's been like a detriment to my exposure and my follower count and all that, but like I am big losing and winning in silence. I'm kind of old school, I guess, in that way where like I'm not really overly sharing and talking about, I guess, how I go about my business. But
yeah,
especially with something like that, major decisions, I don't need, because you damned if you do, damned if you don't.
100%.
So you just got to decide what you think is best for you and go about it that way. So
Agreed.
your boy
I think
making
he's
t-shirts and shit though, ain't
yeah, it's pretty fun.
he?
He was in Indy. He was in Indy for the clincher, which is dope. I mean, like,
No,
there's
that's
really
fire.
nothing better than like seeing that go across the line, and now you got 4 left. But I think he's going to end up cashing out. That's my guess. I know him pretty well. He
Yeah.
hasn't said whether or not he will yet, but my guess is he's going to cash it out. A bigger one, some kid I saw has the Thunder and the Oilers to win their respective titles. He bet $13 on a 5-leg future, and he's going to win $270,000.
These are the
If
last two
accurate.
legs?
He's got the last 2 legs. It's Thunder and Oilers. He's got a $92,000 cash out. I feel like you're sitting on a dream there, but I just don't know enough about hockey to say like he should leave it in.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was just getting at before. If it's all so personal, I truly believe, and I actually been battling back and forth about like really shedding light on my approach mentally and how I just go about my stuff, just stay mentally fresh because I really think that is the biggest thing. You want to avoid tilt. That's how you want to avoid bankroll killers and spots that burn up your bankroll when they could be going towards. You don't want to chase good money after bad, right? When you're
For
tilted,
sure.
when you're trying to get even, it really is like a marathon. So I've been thinking about going back and forth and trying to like maybe even just like talk more about just like my approach and what I do to stay off of tilt and how I just manage bankroll. Like not like the math of it, like the mental side of like
Yeah.
I want to get, because like I've been there just like everybody else. Like I need to get even right now.
When
Like
you say
not
when the words "I need" come out, you're cooked already.
not tomorrow, not the next game, half. I need to get even right now. So like, of course you feel that, but those are the ones that kill you mentally, right? So I think on the cash out side, if not cashing out is going to send you into a spiral
Just take the
because you had a
money.
chance, just take the money and don't worry about it. And eventually, you'll get over not, if say it does come in, you'll get over not taking that big money, but it'll be a lot harder if you let everybody in and they're calling you an idiot for 2
Yeah,
weeks. So like that's the other element to it.
for sure. I completely agree. And you made a great point about it being personal. Like, I don't know if that kid runs his own business or whatever. Like, he may not, the $92,000 cash out may not affect his pocket. I don't know that. That's
Right.
not my business. But if you're doing it for fun,
Oh, bowling. And then you get the mathematicians that come into it. Well, this cash out isn't plus EV, so you should probably. It's like, dude, all that stuff goes out the window
100%.
when we're talking about actual dollars, and like that's where the situation gets personal. Because like, yeah, maybe the math isn't correct. Your cash out is 90, whatever you said the number was. Maybe it should be 112,
Right.
but we're still talking about 12 to win 96 and what that's going to do to you mentally and how that can impact your life. It's a personal decision. So anytime I ever see like, should I cash out? I always just laugh. Like, you got to sit down. Should I break up with my girlfriend? I don't know, bro. You sit down and figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like
I can't tell you how to do that, man.
right.
You're gonna have to run that journey by yourself.
Should I get a divorce? Like, you figure it out. That's you, bro. I don't know. It's like
That's on
the
you,
same
Chief.
question to me.
All right, let's get into the hoops. First and foremost, we obviously know the Thunder are heavy favorites to win this series. I think it's accurate. You got a chance to watch up close and personal the Pacers play the Knicks. So from your perspective, what do you think? How do you see this series playing out? You've watched a lot of ball all season.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know how you feel about, Thunder versus Pacers to end the NBA season.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest play, 5-figure plus play, was all year long. I was adding to it was the Thunder to win the West. I thought there was a lot of reasons why they were clearly the best team and didn't have real competition that could keep up with them in a 7-game series where they were going to have home court advantage in Oklahoma City. So I say that to say I'm a little biased on the Thunder because I've loved them all year. I think defensively they're one of the best defensive teams I've seen with my own eyes. I'm 37 years old. So they are a really special team. When we talk about like how the series is going to go and how do I feel about the Pacers, I think a lot of things broke right for the Pacers and Knicks to be in that matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once they got in that matchup, it tilted in the Pacers' favor. Like against the Knicks, they were in a really good spot. And I think if a couple things break another way, they end up losing that series to the Knicks.
Definitely.
I was actually just having the conversation about like, forget about the Thunder. Do you think what would be the number you would hang Pacers versus Timberwolves? In my opinion, I think the Timberwolves are favored in that series.
For sure.
And I just watched the Oklahoma City Thunder literally take the joy out of basketball from those boys. They did not want to play basketball not a second more than they had to.
It
They could
reminded
not.
me of like when Catholic school teams would go play like North Lawndale and they would just rip your heart out. Like they're just full court press the whole game. Your best player's frustrated. He's throwing the
I'm
ball all
good.
over the court.
I'm good. That's what it felt like watching the Thunder play the Minnesota Timberwolves. The game 5, they flat out quit, laid down, wanted nothing more to do with it. So there's a lot of different angles you can look at it as and how you see the series going. I think Minnesota is better than the Pacers and would have their hand full with them. The Thunder just smoked those boys.
Yeah.
The weakness for the Oklahoma City Thunder is rebounding. Guess who else's weakness is rebounding? The Pacers. So
I was just looking at
one
that.
spot, the one spot that they would potentially be able to capitalize on their weakness for the Thunder, they can't. So that's the element. Like the only reason the Nuggets were in that series versus the Thunder is because they were cleaning up the glass. Aaron Gordon was having games 6, 7, 8 offensive rebounds. Jokic was cleaning up the glass. They were getting second opportunities. The reason the Knicks, in a lot of ways, had an opportunity to beat the Pacers and probably would have if they win game 1 was they were generating so many additional looks with Mitchell Robinson and cleaning up the glass. So if you take that element out, I don't see where the Pacers have any advantage in this series whatsoever. I think it's the Oklahoma City Thunder in 5 at plus 210. It's the chalk, but I think that is the right side out there in the market. This is the type of things you can look at as a bettor. I think that is always interesting. Pretty unanimously across the board. To play under 5.5 games, you have at any shop you'd have to lay like minus 135.
Yeah, which is wild to me.
They're not talking about the Pacers,
right?
You feel me?
Yeah.
Like they're not saying the Pacers have a good chance to win in 5. So you're pushing like almost 60% chance that this series ends in 5. But then you could get the Thunder in 5 at plus 210, plus 215, depending on where you're looking at it. So I think when you're talking about a value side, even though that is the chalk, I think that is the best bet on the board. You mentioned it on the rundown that the rebounding and series leaders thing has been interesting all playoffs. Halliburton led the Knicks Pacers series in rebounds.
Anthony Edwards, insane to me. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards led the Thunder series in rebounds at 50-1. So I think there's a real chance like that could be another element here in the finals, depending on if you wanted to go SGA or if you wanted to go to a guy like Siakam to lead the series in rebounds. So those are a couple of things that I'm looking at, but there's 2 teams that have ever been 200 plus or more in the finals and have won. It's the 04 Pistons with Billups and Rip and Ben Wallace and those guys. And then it was Siakam and Kawhi in the 2017-2018 against LeBron and them. Probably not LeBron and them, the Warriors.
Yep.
But
when KD got hurt.
I was going to say Durant goes down. Like a lot of things happen for them to get that title. And that's probably will go down as one of the most underrated teams. Like if you look at like the roster 1 through 8, they were really, really stacked. Van Vliet, Siakam, OG, Kawhi, like they had a lot of guys. So those are the only 2 times it's happened. I think the series is probably mispriced a little bit. Like I don't think they should be as big of a favorite as they are, but it's not.
I think
far
the books
off.
are probably trying to avoid the risk. Like if you put it down, then big bettors are going to put $4 million on it because they feel like it's a lock, which it feels like it is. Yeah, so you got to kind of like it's almost like mosquito repellent, right? Like you're just like get these people away from the slide.
Like how high do I have to not make this number so money stops coming in
exactly
on this side? So yeah, I think it's probably mispriced a little bit, but nowhere near enough for me to consider taking the Pacers.
No, for sure. And listen, like just to give perspective on the Pacers side, like I'm a fan of Rick Carlisle. I think he's done a great job. I think this is just going to be a bad matchup for them. I don't know. Like for all the reasons you mentioned, but also like the fact that they've been to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years now. This does also feel like I like 𝗬𝗏 𝗟𝗶 a lot. I think he gets hated on for no reason, but I don't know that he has that like I want to be the reason why. Like he does on Instagram, but like he would have to have a triple double every game for this to be competitive, and I just don't see it going
Well,
that
Mike,
way.
Mike, we've seen Halliburton legitimately, it's very perplexing actually, voluntarily take himself out of games.
Yeah,
That game 5 where he had 8 points and like was a non-factor, it ends up costing him the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, in my
100%.
opinion. He was a no-show, a ghost, wasn't involved, didn't want to be involved. And that was coming off of the maybe one of the best offensive performances we've seen in a playoff game in the last
Maybe
25
ever,
years.
bro.
Dude, it was unbelievable. It's one of the best offensive performances. 30-point triple-double with no turnovers, no look passes, did whatever he wanted, got no
Yep.
resistance at any point in the game. It was a special performance. And he shows up and legitimately doesn't attack, looks disinterested, doesn't really want to play, it seems like. So if we're going to get potentially one of those games where Halliburton voluntarily removes himself, because he's done that in multiple times
Yep.
throughout his career and this year. And if you look at it, it's really difficult to price. The books are having trouble. Like his point prop has been right at like 19 and a half, 20 and a half every series throughout the playoffs. And he's either blowing through it or he's scoring
Not
12
even getting
points.
close.
Right, right. So if he continues the trend of what he's been doing and essentially voluntarily removes himself, I have no doubt there's going to be a game where the Thunder remove him purely on defense.
For sure.
I don't see where they can bounce back and win multiple games, let alone the series. I think their path to victory, Bolling, is somehow playing faster than they already do.
Yeah.
Like they can't get in the half court. Like that is out. If they get in the half court, it's big trouble.
Yeah, I agree. And that was going to be the only point I'd make. I'm like, if they score 150 points in a game, they can obviously win. But OKC's defense is not going for that. We know it. I think the most stark reason why I don't think it's going to be a long series is because they have legitimately 5 guys. The Thunder have 5 guys that they can throw at Halliburton. They could, even with his own personal, like I've removed myself from the game, like even with that, they're going to be trying to take him out of the game. So now you're talking about putting a heap of pressure on Nembhard, who's been good, TJ McConnell. Like those guys are not going to be able to get it done. So I agree with you. I think Thunder and 5 at 2-1 is sometimes the most obvious bet is the best bet to make. So I think like it'd be foolish to overthink this. Like I do think that that's the best bet to make. But in terms of series props, you touched on this and we didn't talk about it. I purposely left it off the rundown I sent you. I bet Siakam to have the most rebounds in the series at plus 550 on FanDuel for all the reasons you mentioned. We had 2 guards. 2 guards lead their respective series in rebounds because neither of these teams do it well. So you think about that. You think about the fact that Siakam has been a champion, has been to the mountaintop. Like, if we're talking about it, there's no doubt that Rick Carlisle's in that room. Like, we got to hit the damn glass or we're going to get run out of the building. Yeah. So maybe he puts an emphasis on it. The only thing I wish the Pacers, or I wish Miles Turner did better for the Pacers, was rebound, because he's the biggest guy they got on the roster, but he just like plays too much outside, and I don't think
I was just going to say he's never by the rim. He's never by the rim to rebound. So that's
I see people all the time like betting this, and I'm like, if you're betting Miles Turner rebounds, you just have not watched these games. Like he's never around the rim.
Yeah, and that also to speak to Siakam,
it's shocking.
Yeah, and it also pulls Chet away from the rim. It pulls Hardenstein away from the rim. So yeah, the Siakam play, that feels like it has value without question. And if we're talking about a guy that's going to, I think still to this day, what gets underrated about props is look at the volume, look at the minutes. How active are people going to be? Like, you don't
Right.
want to be, it's really tough to back guys where you don't know how they're going to play, how many minutes they're going to play, and things of that nature. I have no doubt Siakam's going to play pushing 40 minutes every single night. And if it's going to be a shorter series, that kind of shortens the window on how many rebounds he's actually going to have to scoop up. That's how that's how Anthony Edwards got to the win with Minnesota. It's only 5 games. He has 2 games where he has 8+, and then you know what I mean? He's already pushing 22, 23 rebounds in the series, and then they're trying to so badly to get home, they don't even show up for the 5th game. So
Yeah.
I like that spot for Siakam.
And then the other one I have that I want to get your take on, it's kind of in the same vein. I've been thinking about the glass this whole time. Like Chet, I think has solidified himself as a scorer in these playoffs. He's done a really good job of being that option B, option C, whatever you want to call it, on the Thunder. So there's a prop that has Chet to score 15 points and grab 5 boards in every game. It's 12-1 on FanDuel, which I thought was pretty fun value when you're talking about over 10-1. And this is really just kind of like a dart throw, but it's informed, right? Like if he's more aggressive on the glass, he can get 8 boards. I think his line is set at 9.5 for game 1. So that's half of what Vegas is expecting him to get. It's really just like if he avoids foul trouble, you might be able to get this through the window. I'm more worried about the points because he may not need to score 15 points for them to win these games. So, but that one seems interesting to me. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you pull up his game log versus Minnesota, he had tons of success. Offensively, it was probably his best overall series as a pro. He hasn't been in that many, but the knock on Chet, and I think probably the knock overall on the Thunder coming in was, is J-Dub good enough to be the second guy? And can Chet really be a guy where I could count on him for 17 or 18 a night?
Yeah.
Inside and out, and protect the rim. Those were question marks coming in, and I think he did that really well against Minnesota. So the only thing is, I agree with you, is the points. For a team that's so loaded and so versatile and plays a lot of guys and has blowout potential. I can't remember I don't want to butcher the number and I don't have it pulled up, but Bill Simmons sent out a tweet about the win margin of the Oklahoma City Thunder at home in the playoffs, and it's absurd. It's like 35 points, 40, 19. Like their biggest win, like their smallest win at home was like 8, but it was like they were winning by their margin of victory in the playoffs at home is like 20+ points, pushing almost. So don't quote me on that exact number, but
I just found it. They're 8-1 at home in the playoffs. They won those 8 games by 51, 19, 43, 7, 32, 36, 15, and 30.
Like what are we talking about?
The one loss, they were up 9 with 3 minutes left and lost by 2. So that's
right. And that was the Nuggets game where they missed a couple free throws and then Aaron Gordon hit that triple. So like and Bolden, they're 29-1 against the East this year.
Just smacking the East.
I'm telling you, like Halliburton and those guys are getting ready to see something they've never seen before. So the only thing that worries me about that is Chet might have a light night where he had a little 12, 6, 3 blocks in 25 minutes.
And they won by 17.
And they won by 27. So that would be the only thing that makes me a little nervous. I would more likely play, like, even if you look at the scoring for SGA, like you could probably get him on some props, like he scores 30+ every game in the series.
Yeah.
If you look at him, even in some of these blowouts, he's still pushing, like he's still getting his at the bucket, 28, 29, 30 points a game. So that would be my only hesitation on the Chet, but it's still very much in play at a 12 or 13-1 number.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the number was like -125 for SGA to score 25 a game. I'm like, if you got the bankroll for it, that seems like a pretty locky bet. Unless they win a game by 51 points, like I don't see a way that he doesn't score 25 because who the hell is going to stop? Like the Pacers do have decent wing defenders, but SGA is a cheat code, man. Like he
Yeah,
gets whatever he wants.
and the amount of additional possessions that are going to be generated for the Thunder, if the Pacers play like they have to, I think, is also plays into the hand of SGA scoring a lot of points.
For sure. All right, well, we have a 3-leg parlay. We cooked it up together. I'm going to let you talk through your first leg because your leg was 𝗬𝗏 𝗟𝗡 under 26.5 points and assists. So go ahead and break that down because I do like it.
Yeah, I think it plays right into the ideas that we just talked about this offensive success that the Pacers are going to have. I don't see a path where clearly the directive from Dagnall and the Thunder was we need to shut off Anthony Edwards-Helaire at all costs. I believe that directive is going to be the same for 𝗬𝗏 𝗟𝗡. If we take him out, they have no chance to win the game whatsoever. And I'll take my chances of Siakam shooting mostly twos on the wing against a Caruso or against a Cason Wallace, right?
Yep.
So if the main objective for the Thunder, who've been at home chilling for a week now in their own bed, longer at home, they've been chilling for no games, but they played game 7 at home. They've been home for like 10, 12 days, damn near 11 days, right? So they're going to be ready to go, and I think the number one objective is going to be to slow up Haliburton in many different aspects. The days of Haliburton coming off screens and Cat being in drop coverage, and he gets to like decide if he wants to go to the basket or go to the corner aren't going to be available to him. So I think even a good game for him could be like 18-7.
Yep.
And that still puts us at an under. I just think this number is a little too inflated. And if they do shut him off offensively, he still has to distribute, and say he does distribute and does get guys involved. I still don't think it offsets the scoring output. So 26.5 is a bit too high for me. And I think he's going to turn it over more than he typically does. I think everything – I'd be looking at points and assists in almost every game in this series if it goes how I think it's going to go.
For sure. I think also he's going to fall victim to the hockey assist because that first read that he was getting in drop coverage was easy. Now you got wing defenders who are going to be on top of them like flies on you-know-what, and you're going to have to do that swing. You're going to have to relocate. Like all of those reasons feel right.
I mean, Anthony Edwards was getting into the paint. They were collapsing 3, sometimes 4 defenders on him. And by the time the ball got back out to the perimeter, they had recovered and were back out to the perimeter.
Everyone was ready. Like
it was like they were playing 7 dudes on the floor. I know Minnesota was like, hold on a minute. I just went to the paint and there was 4 guys here. And now I get back outside and everybody's covered up. How does that work? So
yeah,
they're just a different animal at the moment.
They're a different beast. So we have 𝗬𝗏 𝗟𝗡 under 26.5 points and assists. I tacked on with Jalen Williams to have 4 assists. He's been over this number a bunch. I do think like the directive on the Pacer side is going to be try and shut off SGA's water. The funny thing is like he doesn't really care. I feel like they don't mind. They play so well together that if the swing is to J-Dub, he's going to figure out a way to make the right play. So I see a lot of swing, drop it to Hardenstein, floater, there you get an assist. And then at the end, I do love Bennedict Mathurin more than most people, so I want to get your take on that because I know he's probably going to get paid here pretty soon. His point total is at 7.5. If I see this series going the way it's going to go, or I think the way it's going to go, he's going to get more run in what could feel like garbage time. It's not going to be garbage minutes because they'll probably empty the bench, but it's the finals, right? You're not going to play your two-way guys in the finals, especially in the first couple games. So game 1, he's got potential to go off for 20. We saw it in the Knicks series. I looked at what he did against the Thunder in head-to-head matchups. He was over this number, way over this number in those matchups. So Haliburton under 26.5 points and assists. Bennedict Mathurin over 8 points. Jalen Williams 4 assists. It's plus 309 right now on FanDuel. And I like it. I'm going to put it in after the show. We'll tail it. We'll watch it. But any last thoughts on this? I really do appreciate you hopping on. It's fun to talk ball
easy
with you
money.
always.
No doubt.
But yeah, any last thoughts on the series?
Yeah, to talk Mathurin really quick. I love Mathurin's game. I just worry I like Mathurin more than Carlisle likes Mathurin. Like
he did not play a lot in that last game.
Yeah, I think Mathurin probably has earned more minutes than he's been getting. Like that 20-point game against the Knicks, he scored 20 in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Like he's impactful when he comes on. He has gotten in foul trouble a little bit when he's come on, but yeah, that'd be my only concern is that we like Mathurin more than Carlisle likes Mathurin, and Carlisle has a little more swing than we do.
Yeah.
But if he gets the minutes, 7.5 does seem kind of short because and it would be against the Thunder's second unit. I mean, that second unit for the Pacers of McConnell, Mathurin, Obi Toppin, Shepherd, it's been effective. So
they played good ball.
Yeah, he should get some minutes. I'm just hard pressed to bet anybody's over on the Thunder against the Thunder, but I think there is an opportunity where he could get a lot more minutes than we think he could.
For sure. One of my buddies was like, yeah, I know why Carlisle's not playing him this year because he's looking to get a payday, so he might be trying to keep him in Indiana.
Yeah.
The conspiracy theorists are out.
Call the NAACP.
Yeah, right.
Trying to hold my man down.
Again, man, I appreciate you hopping on, brother. We'll check back in and see if we cashed any of these bets after the series, but continued success and keep banging the drum, man. I think you said a lot of good stuff in here.
All day, my boy. You already know. I appreciate you having me. Always respect the coin.
Yes, sir. You already know. Huge shout out to my boy Sean Little for jumping on the pod, for joining me on Respect Coin. We had a blast, and we're ready. We're ready to bet this series. All the information you need is packaged in this episode. Keep an eye out for my socials. Keep an eye out for his socials. And some more parlays and plays that we might put out for the series. I'm hoping it's a long series because I don't want the basketball season to end. But this could wrap up pretty quickly. Who knows? The NBA always full of surprises. So again, thank you to my man Sean Little for joining. And enjoy the NBA Finals. If you're listening to this, if you have plays that you like, send them to me. Send them to Sean. We're always interested in more plays and more opportunities to beat the sports books. So thank you for listening. Appreciate everyone's time. And hopefully we can all put some money in our pockets as the NBA season comes to the end. The Pacers, the Thunder, it all gets underway soon. And again, let's hope we put some money in our pockets. As always, respect that coin. Peace and love.